Alright, so this is going to be a new segment I'm going to be trying to do. It's going to be a how-to. It's going to be how-to and then a blank. Alright, so let's say, right now it's going to be how to make a wooden Bowie knife. And this was my design, just kind of thought it up a couple days ago, and so I made it over the weekend. Decided I'd do a short little video about it. So, you can see these were the plans. These are actual size plans that I did. I just drew them up pretty quick. I looked on Google Images, saw some images, drew these up pretty quick. And so, these are full size. So if I were to take some sort of measuring device and say, oh, this handle says it's 5 inches long, then I was going to make the handle 5 inches long in the actual product. And so, I like doing that more than making it really small and then just dimensioning it out, because this also lets me see how big it will be and maybe how well it's going to fit in relation to my hand as well. So, those are the plans. As you can see, there is a little difference here, as I did not put a blade guard on this knife, because I put it on, but it didn't look good, so I eventually took it off. And I'll be just talking about the entire making of the knife here. So, first, took a piece of cherry firewood, right? Now it's firewood, but it has this really nice straight grain that I wanted to be able to use for the blade. I didn't use this one. It was fighting me really hard when I tried to split it, so I just ended up getting a thinner piece, but this piece would have been fine. So you're going to want a piece that is the full length of the knife, because you can see the tang comes all the way through the handle, so it's a full tang blade, and so you need a piece of wood that's maybe 16 or 17 inches long. And what I did then to get it to thickness is I just used a chisel and I planed it to a final rough thickness, which was around 3/8 of an inch. After I had it at about 3/8 of an inch down to pretty rough thickness, I cut it to shape then. Only then did I cut it to shape, because otherwise it would have been much too hard to put in the bench dogs and to plane. So, so then I had it cut to shape. Now the tang I had cut very wide so that the handle would fit no matter what, because let's say these bumps I didn't make it deep enough, then you'd have voids here and you'd have to chop that part of the handle off, and it's not what I wanted to do, obviously, because I wanted to have this nice tang all the way through. So now we have our blade to rough thickness around 3/8 of an inch. Hardwood will work just fine for this. I used hardwood, obviously. This is cherry. Softwood would probably be okay as well, as long as you didn't try to bend it too much. Then I have some full dimension oak 2x6s here. I took some pieces of this for the handle. You can see you don't need much of a 2x6 for the handle, and really you don't even need a 2x6 because it's not that thick, right? It's only maybe a 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch on either side. So you could probably get away with a 1x. I used a 2x and then just split it in the middle and planed off a little bit off the middle to get it nice and flat so I could mate those two surfaces pretty well. So I had that, cut the guard out of the same material, but again, didn't like the way it looked, so I eventually split that off. So, let's say you cut the handle to left shape, right? You're going to draw it out to a shape like this, lay that on here, cut that out with the jigsaw or bandsaw or whatever. Now you have that again. I split it in the middle. You could do it on 2 pieces of 1x as well. I got it there. Then what I did is I took that and I just glued it right on. I just glued it on, clamped it 1, 2, and 3. Let that dry for a couple days. Once that's dry, came back in, because remember the tang was much larger. Cut and sanded the tang to shape with the handle, then began shaping the handle. So what I usually do, you can see it's not very even, but I shaped it to my hand so that it fit well. Now, how I do shaping, basically rounding, is let's say you wanted to shape a piece like this, right? I draw a line in the middle, and I draw a line in the middle, and then you round from middle to middle, and that gets you a nice kind of rounded off shape, which is really the same thing I did here. I drew a line in the middle, and then in the middle, and I used those as guidelines for rounding the handle. So again, you're going to want to, put it in your hand and see how it fits. Now, if you're right-handed, you'll probably be holding it with your right hand, so fit it for your right hand, right? Obviously, cut out for your thumb, nice palm swell. And then what I did was I put my fingers on it, and I saw that my fingers have this angle to it when I'm holding it. So I angled the handle a little bit. Again, this is to fit my hand, but it really didn't take me all that long. I took a rasp in the beginning, smoothed that down to the file, then hit it with some 80 grit sandpaper, and moved up in the sanding grits up to 220. Once I had that to shape, and to about 100 or 150 grit, the handle that is, I also took a random orbiting sander, smoothed down the blade to 150 grit, which was the finest pad I had. I then hand sanded the final grit at 220, and then again hand sanded this at 220, which was a final grit, and then hit it with some linseed oil. Now before, okay, so basically I hit the blade with about 100, I think they were both at either 100 or 150 or so. That's when I did the bevel. Now, I did the bevel, okay, we're going to say this is like your belt sander, alright? So you take it, you'd hold it on your belt sander at whatever angle, and you'd move it back and forth to get that bevel into there. Now, this bevel won't come out perfectly straight because it does not have the same consistencies as metal wood, so it's going to be quite a bit harder to shape this as it would be metal, which is why, again, there's some inconsistencies between this and my drawings. But they came out close enough that I'm happy, and I do like that product. So, basically, find your angle, same thing as sharpening a chisel or a plane blade, and just hold it on your belt sander and run it back and forth until you have the whole thing. How I did this was I knew here I had this line, drew those lines onto the blade, and then drew a halfway point. Drew a halfway line in here, and then just cut to there. Now, I took off the majority of it with a chisel, then finished everything up on the belt sander. Decided not to go with that, I did, and the way it happened, it just didn't look too great, so instead, just kind of brought it all the way back. Brought that bevel all the way back. Now this, I was able to do in the flat part of the belt sander. This, because it's curved, I was not able to, has this swoop in it, so I did that on the wheel of the belt sander. And then just hit it with linseed oil, and this is what we have. Again, this is cherry, this is oak. It's actually very old oak, maybe around 100 or so years old, but it did take nicely, and I wanted the handle to be darker than the blade. So if you're using, let's say, the same material for the handle, what you can do is you can shape the handle and then maybe dip that, or even just coat it with a stain, and that will get your handle to be definitely a little bit darker. That's how I did it. Again, you could take a piece of 1x or even thinner than 1x, obviously. For the blade, you don't need, I just use a piece of firewood. You could use 1x probably for the handle. And as far as this all being hardwood, that's going to make it last a little bit longer, and it's going to make this edge less susceptible to just tailing off. But softwood would be fine as long as you're not going to be banging it around on anything. And so that's kind of how I did this. I have other projects that I also did that I'm going to be also displaying here. So stick around for those. Now this was very wet cherry when I planed it, and you see it's still very straight. That's because I was able to get linseed on it before it dried. If you do have really wet wood like that, if you can linseed oil the entire thing, or oil it, or put on some sort of stabilizer before it dries, then it won't be able to dry fully at that time, and it's going to dry so much slower with the linseed oil in it that really it won't crack, and it won't warp too bad at all. So it won't do any twisting once you have the linseed oil in it. And I think that's pretty much it. I used a number 5 plane for most of that planing. I have a 1-inch chisel, socket chisel I used for most of the rough shaping, and then again just a rasp, just a rough rasp you can use for the handle. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, I have some more projects coming up. I took one of these and I put a floating piece of wood in here with magnets, so that's going to be up.